And then the last thing we're going to talk about tonight, you want to do as far as getting organized and getting started on your family history is kind of decide on a deadline. Two deadlines that are probably the most common deadlines is there may be a family reunion. Let's say it's we're doing a Stevenson family history and we're having a Stevenson extended family reunion, at a certain date coming up. And so the deadline is to get it done and printed and published by then, or maybe to have one copy ready to show everybody so that they can decide whether they want to order one or not by that date. Another deadline is very common that we just came across is Christmas. Christmas is another great deadline. It's wonderful to have a deadline. Deadlines push us forward. If we don't have a deadline, it just doesn't rise to the top of the priority list and something else is always taking its place. Deadlines really help us push it forward. They don't need to be firm deadlines, but deadlines are really helpful to have. Then once you decide on the big deadline, then you want to break that deadline into smaller parts and say, okay, I want to have Aunt Susie's history done by April 1st, and I want to do Uncle John's history by May 1st, or whatever it is. You want to break that deadline into smaller chunks that's more manageable. Short-term goals are a lot easier to manage than the great big one. For one, the great big one's so far off that we think, oh, we'll get to it next week. We won't be quite as busy next week. And then next week comes and it'll be the next week. So we kind of tend to put it off if we just have the one big one. But if we break it down into a lot of smaller ones, that really helps to keep us on task and keep us moving forward. And so that's another suggestion I'd give. One caution about deadlines. This happens occasionally. Somebody comes in, they say, I wanted this book for Christmas. In fact, one book that we're working on right now was one that they wanted to have done for Christmas. And they brought it in and we started going through it, and it wasn't done quite right. And so, as we talked to them about it and worked through it, they really wanted to get it done by Christmas, but they needed to do a few more months of work on it. And I always remind people, I say that it's great to meet a deadline. Deadlines are great, and it's nice to have it for Christmas or for a reunion or for whatever that deadline is. But that book's going to be around for a couple hundred years. And it's more important to have that book done right than to meet the deadline. It's great to do both, and we often do both, all the time. But occasionally, it's better to say, okay, we're not going to meet the deadline because we want to get it done right, because that's more important, to get it done right.